oh no, it might really be happening. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's financial collapse is getting so bad. Indeed, Paula Frolic Uncensored reporting they're kind of running out of money, which means the consequence looks like it could be Spare Part 2, which would be a total disaster zone for King Charles and Prince William, given that Harry has always maintained that the information that he is keeping private for the second part of his tell-all book is even more explosive than the first. Paula Frolic, great to have you here. Do you really think this is something that Harry is contemplating doing?
This is something that is circulating in the publishing world. And I always say when there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire. I reported last year that Harry and Meghan had been calling Penguin Random House repeatedly, where's our royalties? We need our royalties. We'd like more money. And the problem with that is there is no more money. You know, they were overpaid for Spare. And while it did sell 6 million copies, 6 million does not equal 20 million in actual profits for him. And there is absolutely no more royalties coming out of this. So I have heard from the same book people that there have been, hey, would you want a separate book? Would you want something else? Now, of course, they haven't said what that is. It could be an Eddie Murphy, like Coming to America. It could be Lessons I've Learned, or it could be Take Me Back, Pa. But there's definitely some interest, and it's really the only way that Harry himself can make money, because he's tried everything else. And right now, he's a little bit cuckolded. Meghan is the one who has brought in the deals. And frankly, no one's going to like to hear this either. But Meghan is the one who made the one deal that could actually pay off very well for them, and that is One-Off.
This is the clothing.
Now, it's an absurd-looking website. People laugh at it. She's putting up old clothes and things that are sold out or whatnot. And yes, she could get 50,000, 10 or 20% off of 50,000. She doesn't care about that. None of them care about that. None of the other investors, none of the other celebrities like Brooks Nader. What they care about is the technology behind One-Off. And the company was actually started by very smart people who are well known in the tech world. They've got good backing from companies like Revolve. And what they want is in a year or so for the technology of One-Off to be absorbed into Meta, into Google, into Claude, any of the major companies who will happily pay $600,000, $1 billion for technology that they don't have the bandwidth to go ahead and do right now.
And she owns a percentage of that company, right? So that's
she
why
likely
it could be
yes.
a financial boon. The stories about Harry and Meghan, the establishment and the media are working overtime to suppress. I'm Dan Wootton. This is Outspoken. Subscribe right now for free if you want the truth straight.
I am hearing that she likely got a point or two, which is, it sounds very small.
But
however,
it could be massive
at the same
if it sells
massive
to a big tech giant.
I have friends of mine in the tech fashion world who did not take any money for their work on a startup. Instead, they took 1 point, and their grandchildren will live off of that 1 point for years.
So, Paula, how does Californian divorce law work in that instance? Because can I just paint a picture to you? Which is not what people were expecting, of course, because people were expecting that actually, because there's no prenup, our understanding is there's absolutely no prenup. So the understanding was always that, Meghan would be wanting to get half of Harry's money. But let's just go with your quite disturbing potential scenario, because, of course, I think we'd all find it pretty desperately sad if Meghan Markle ended up, getting some, 300 million payout or whatever for this clothing website. But just say it did happen. Does Harry get access to 50% of that money? if
Yes,
there
of
is a
course.
Californian divorce?
Yes, of course. And
Wow.
it also depends. Now, first of all, I should
So
say,
she
I
can't
don't
take the
think
money
that,
and run, is the point that I'm making.
no, 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 no. Now, first of all, I do need to make the point that I personally do not feel there will be a divorce, at least until the kids are 18.
Yeah.
However, in California, there is the 10-year rule. But the 10-year rule is usually for people with prenups. And that means prenups are completely 100% valid until 10 years. And then after that, there's common property. And it's a little bit more complicated than that, but they don't have a prenup. So it's all common property. And everyone in California right now is looking for what they're calling it the Ben Affleck deal. So, for example, a couple months ago, Ben Affleck sold, and it was not his company completely. It's the same deal that Meghan has with One Off. He had points in a company, an AI company that was then sold, and he made hundreds of millions of dollars off of it. Everybody wants that. It's passive income, it's passive money. They just said, sure, put my name on that. You can use my name to publicize everything. And all of a sudden, without really lifting a finger, guess what? They now have hundreds of millions of dollars. We'd all like that. I would like that. And that is the deal that they're looking for.
Yeah,
Everyone.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, and by the way, I'm not in the imminent divorce camp either. My view, though, is that financials make up a huge part of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's future considerations, you see.
Well, it also makes up a huge part of their fights and the unhappiness they've been having. So again, Meghan was not 100% on board and not happy for Harry to go ahead with this massive lawsuit against the Daily Mail, specifically because if they lost, which they did, they'd be on the hook for millions. Now, again, tomorrow, Wednesday, is a big old deal because we're going to find out how much Harry and Elton John are on the hook for. And if the Daily Mail can get the full 50 million that they say they spent on lawyers as opposed to just the 4 million that was capped by the judge.
Yeah, goodness me. It is going to be interesting because the thing is, Paula, it will be, I think, frustrating if the clothing website does really take off. Because if you look at As Ever, for example, or Was Never, as Lady Colin Campbell called it, it's just a total disaster. The Royal News Network pointing out that the follow account of As Ever is declining again. She says that's not a surprise, adding that Meghan herself seems to have forgotten about her Instagram during the summer holiday, and she's running an ad for something she does not have in stock. If this is going to be their main source of income, she needs to figure out how to make it work. And like Paula, I mean, this is astonishing. It's amateur hour stuff. The mistakes are nuts. And the fact that, I mean, it's not even like she's got that many followers given the huge nature of that brand and how it was pushed by Netflix and her massive publicity. But the fact that the trajectory is downwards is hugely worrying. So it really doesn't look like Netflix were wrong on As Ever, does it?
Oh, gosh, no. But also, Dan, you have to understand this is a tax play. So in the United States, yes, of course, for Meghan, in the United States, you are allowed to run your company at a loss for 5 years. And in that 5 years, it's fine. You get all the tax breaks. After 5 years, that's when the hammer hits. It's only been 2.5 years now. So she's got another X amount of time to sunset As Ever and flip it into something else where they can run, I don't know, everything out of the next company and run it at a tax loss. So that's fine. And you can tell she's not into it, right? Every single photo, all those photos of her holding the basket and her walking and the videos, whatnot, they're from the original Netflix shoot years ago. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're not doing really any new shoots. And the same stuff is coming out. Now, I don't know about you, but Americans don't really eat that much jam. They don't really drink tea. They drink, what's the word? Coffee. So this is not products that really sell out in the States. Just ask Smuckers. But, you know, God bless her. She's going to keep this going until something else comes up and then she'll transition.
Paula, can we talk about MasterChef Australia for a moment, please? Because
dear
the
God.
reviews and the ratings
Yes.
are in and they're bad. I also like this from the Royal Grift, who posted, you always hear about these stories of people shape-shifting. I think this was a moment. There is something truly demonic going on here, and it's not AI. I mean, I would certainly say the producers were not trying to protect her in the edit, put it that way. Alexander Lahman in The Spectator writing, there is only one reason Meghan went on MasterChef Australia: money. And in whatever happens, the Sussexes will be looking around for yet more money-spending opportunities, such as MasterChef Australia, in the coming weeks and months to pay the no doubt considerable bill, referring to the legal case. Meghan left the programme, Trilly and I have loved every second of being here. She will be hoping, for the sake of the family accounts, that the feeling has been mutual. But it really wasn't, because what we saw is the Sussex squad trying to, I would argue, massage the ratings, which I'm quite a close follower, Paula. You might think I'm crazy, but I used to follow Australian TV ratings and stuff quite closely in a former life. And these were actually not good, given the hype and the publicity around this episode and the fact that it was put in the main Sunday night slot. So Sabera Lone posting, I'm so tired of the squad and their lies and stupid Yahoo posting ridiculous ratings to try and make this loser look good. If you want to play the game of ratings, then we will do that for Robert Irwin as well. He had 1.15 million views, if that's the case. It's the second column they look at that tells the actual views, not the first. They want to say she had 118,000 overnight, the biggest in 3 years, they claim. He had 104,000 overnight on Wednesday in the middle of a week. Stop trying to make this woman sound like she's the best. And actually, you've got to remember, this show used to have a peak audience of 3 million. And this particular episode was actually beaten by the Commonwealth Games and just on par with Lego Masters. So actually, not great. Not great. I mean, Paula, I just think when you take all of this into consideration, actually, MasterChef Australia did not work for Meghan. And did it work for Channel 10? Maybe. I mean, they didn't get the huge ratings, but I think they got the publicity, which is probably what they wanted.
But if these reports are accurate, timing could be just as important as the content. The royal family is navigating an especially delicate period, making any renewed controversy potentially more damaging than it might have been in the past. Public attention isn't just on what Harry could say, it's on when he might choose to say it. In high-profile family disputes, timing often shapes the reaction as much as the revelations themselves.
Robert Irwin's episode was so light and fun and joyous, whereas Meghan walked into, I want to say, the Darth Vader music from Star Wars. It was really, really and very, very odd and down, and it just seemed, oh God, it just seemed off. Now, here's the deal. I disagree with one of the commenters who said she did it for money, because I don't think you make a lot of money off of an appearance on MasterChef. She is now trying to pivot to, yet again, another move. If you look at the Times of London had said she is rumored to be working on a cookbook. So of course she wants to go out and look, I'm a chef. Same thing. Remember, her only project that she really did complete well was the Grenfell Fire cookbook. And
and she hated that though, Paula, because she didn't get to make the money from it, because it was still
100%.
her royal phase.
100%, but she also, it was a huge success. So I think she's trying to pick up back where she left off with that. But also, frankly, the dishes just sounded kind of disgusting, like all very sweet. And I have a savory tooth. I prefer bacon to ice cream, maybe bacon flavored ice cream. I don't know, or ice cream with bacon bits I could do. But it is very, very, isn't it? And we all knew she was going to do this because, of course, the second she went to Australia, they had opportunities booked out the entire time.
The thing is, Paula, though, I can understand strategically, absolutely, like you want to release a cookbook and make lots of money from that, because remember, her first foray into publishing in America was The Bench, the children's book, the deal she actually secured when she was in the British royal family. it was a disaster. It's like, oh God, I can't be a children's author. Yep, I did the book for charity and it was a success. So I can understand why she wants to do a cookbook. Of course, it makes sense strategically. The problem is why I don't think the appearance on MasterChef Australia worked is because actually my contention is that Meghan is not a cook at all. And I've got receipts for this. I'll show you in one sec. But it's interesting because it's not just me like who's thinking this. I was on Megyn Kelly's show earlier in the week, and we were talking about lots of things, including this. And Megyn Kelly, who admits that she isn't a cook herself, right? She doesn't like to cook. She's personally not a cook. But she says that if anyone ever says to her, oh, like, what's your favorite meal to whip up? She would immediately say, lasagna. Like, I make a great lasagna. I'm not a good cook, but like it's a crowd pleaser. And, you know, and she's learned how to do it. But when Meghan, who claims that she is a cook, is asked the same question, she actually cannot even name one dish.
I was just shocked she didn't say the roast chicken I made that convinced him to marry me. Remember the big story when they first started dating and she made him roast chicken and all that blah, blah, blah. Why didn't she just say that and just bring that out again? It's mildly insane. Again, I don't know how many times I can say insane while talking about this, but, you know, I don't think it's going to be a good thing for her because also, Dan, not only is she like crudité, she also really just likes to repackage grocery store stuff on a plate into rainbow colors. But the Grenfell Tower cookbook was full of recipes that were not her own. They were full of the women who had lived in Grenfell Tower recipes. And that's why it was such a huge success.
She's sort of, what's the word? She curated it, right? She sort of edited it.
Well, and the one pot pasta that she did on her show that made us all kind of gag was actually a Martha Stewart recipe. So I'm not sure she has anything of her own that she can do.
Yeah, we were talking about the one pot pasta with Megyn Kelly too, and I said, obviously, Martha Stewart updated her website description to say the original and the best. So I think she very much knew that Meghan was ripping it off. The other thing was too, Paula, like, and you can look at this in two ways. You could look at this as Meghan being very ho-faced, although actually, again, I said to Megyn Kelly, like my own mum, who I adore, like we're so close, but she used to be the mum who, when people came for trick-or-treating to our house, because my mum was all about healthy eating, right? Usually because I was like stuffing my face with McDonald's and putting on 3 stone at a time. But my mum would like say, no, we are going to be that family that has a bowl of carrots. And seriously, you know, that was my mum. So weirdly, I did sort of understand there are mums like it who do really like, because I don't think Meghan likes food herself.
No, I don't think she does either. In fact, I mean, just look at her being so painfully thin all the time and what she actually chooses to put in her mouth on camera. No, I agree with you. It's a Hollywood thing. You know, everyone's on peptides. Nobody likes food. It's
I've heard about these peptides thing. Yeah, maybe I need to be looking into that, Paula. I wanted to talk to you.
They're expensive.
Oh, are they? Okay, well, if they work though, if they work, I might look into them. I wanted to talk to you too about this woman, Jamila Jamil, who was one of Meghan Markle's real defenders, right? And actually appeared on her Archetypes podcast and like praised Meghan and sort of blamed, or actually let's listen to this because she was like one of those celebs who was still blowing smoke up Meghan's ass at that point on Archetypes. Listen to this.
It's an unfathomable amount of shit that you take, Meghan. I can't believe it. And I fought back on your behalf years before I'd ever met you because I was so outraged by it. I was so outraged with the twisting of this very normal, very kind, very civilized woman. That demonization just shows how afraid they are of you. And I'm sure maybe you can't keep this in or whatever, but the treatment of you, and I'm so sorry you've had to withstand it. It has re-highlighted for us the like intense unkindness and bigotry and misogyny of our media. And I think and I hope and I feel faith that tides are changing because so many of us are fighting back.
Well, thank you for fighting back. When all of that criticism can feel really attacking or really uncomfortable or scary, is there ever that moment where you go, no, I just can't put myself in this position anymore. It's not good for me, even if it's good for the greater good.
I mean, sorry about all of that. I just remember how terrible that podcast is. But I'm setting it up because this woman, who is this tight with Meghan ally, is now calling all of us Brits evil. The most evil people in the world. Watch this.
I'm so lucky to have been a part of that show. It was so well written. And Megan Amram as well is one of the lead writers on that show who just wrote the shit out of Tahani. And so like together we all crafted her. But I just had to make her more of a bitch. They wanted her to be very sweet because Americans think British people are so sweet, which is crazy because British people are truly the most evil people in history. Like they are Thanos. Britain is Thanos.
Go to a museum, guys.
Yeah, they owe 43 trillion to India.
Maybe go to Chiltern Firehouse and leave there and be like, wait, was that girl mean to me? Like everyone's mean.
But we colonized the world.
Just the artifacts in the museums. I'm like, why is that not in Africa?
So I just think this is quite interesting, Paula, that at the same time you have Meghan Markle accepting she has to come back here. Remember, she told Omid Scobie she was never going to set foot in the UK again. Here are her mates saying Brits are the most evil people in the world. Personally, my view, and this is a view, is that that's the type of conversation that Meghan Markle has with her friends.
I actually am going to disagree with you a little bit because I think her conversations with her friends go a little bit more like the archetypes conversation with Jamila Jamil, where everything turns into, Meghan, you're so great. Look at what you did, Meghan. And Meghan goes, yes, I. And it was all this. That archetypes conversation with Jamila was supposed to be about an archetype. It was supposed to be about someone other than Meghan. It turned all into Meghan and what Meghan had to deal with and her internal conversation. So I think it's really all about Meghan and period. But the thing about Jamila Jamil is let's take her with a handful of salt, shall we? She's not well liked. She's not well liked in Hollywood. All she does is come out and attack other people, other celebrities, everything for attention. She ain't no Priyanka Jonas, you know?
Well, as Piers Morgan said, like, you know what? That's fine. You hate us. You think us so evil. Then, you know, don't have to feel like you want to grace us with your graceless presence again. And that's sort of where I'm at, you know?
Well, the other thing about Jamila Jamil is she has a history of inconsistent statements for attention for herself, inconsistent statements about diagnoses, about health concerns, about a lot of things where people are just kind of going, wait, you said what? No, you don't have that, huh? So let's look at the person talking, shall we? Instead of what she's saying.
Very good point, Paula Frolic, of Paula Frolic Uncensored. And for so much more of this, do make sure you subscribe to Paula Frolic's brilliant Uncensored Substack and YouTube channel. Of course, so much coverage of the British royal family, but not just the British royal family. I've been enjoying some of your other missives this week, Paula. We're getting to know a little bit about you and about your very, very interesting past, because you've sort of had some real eureka moments in life, and you've done everything from showbiz to war zones. So it's very, very interesting. If you want to know a little bit more about Paula Frolic, the woman, you get that through her Substack too. I'm a very proud subscriber and I love it, Paula. So love having you here too. Thank you so much. And we will speak